Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Talk Thursday. With us today is the former legal counsel of Janet Napoles, Lorna Kapunan. Napoles was tagged as the mastermind of the multi-million peso pork barrel scam. She is detained now in Fort Santo Domingo for a serious illegal detention charge. As lead counsel for the defense, Kapunan championed her client's cause on many occasions, saying that Napoles was just a scapegoat for politicians who misused their pork barrel. On the last day of Napoles' bail hearing, Kapunan resigned, she said, because of differences in strategies with collaborating counsel Alfredo Villamor. She is here now. She joins us to talk about her experience and insights as a counsel for one of the most controversial figures, but more than that, one of the most interesting times today. Welcome to Rappler, Lorna.
Hi, Maria. How are you?
Good, good. So when Janet Napoles came to you, I mean, what went through your mind? What thoughts went through before you decided to take her case?
You know, I don't know who she is, or I didn't know who she is. She was not in my radar. And I only know her because she was introduced to me as one of the biggest anonymous donors of the Red Cross, where I sit in the Board of Governors. And she has a legitimate foundation called Smile Foundation, started by her mother many years ago.
And in working on the case after you took it.
And working on the case,
What did you learn?
well, I learned many things. The things that I learned from the attorney-client relationship, of course, I cannot reveal. But going back to your introduction here, what made me leave? Because precisely I learned that already there were many lawyers who were advising her, and it's as simple as she had heeded the advice of Attorney Villamor as to the strategy to adopt in a case. And only two reasons when I accepted her as client. One is I will be lead counsel, and this is not a pride issue or a billing issue. It is an issue of in practice, and I have 38 years of practice, I have learned that you have to have full control of the case, especially in a litigation adversarial situation where you have to think on your feet. And second condition I said was, of course, what all lawyers demand of their clients, which is that a client tells the truth. So short of both conditions. And I left.
Short of both conditions, she didn't tell the truth?
Well, it would seem that she was not. Later, it would seem because of the many influences, and I don't know who really influenced her or have been influencing her. It did not seem likely that she was going to tell the truth. I had explained the idea of Senator Miriam on a perpetuation of testimony.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was understood, but that was not going to happen.
Any regrets in taking the case?
I'm very sad. I'm very sad about, I think more about giving it up than about taking it. In taking it, all lawyers, as I have been explaining in talk shows, all lawyers cannot choose clients. I mean, our code of ethics say that lawyers are not supposed to be pronouncers of guilt. Otherwise, we would be called judges. And we're not. We're lawyers. And a client is not guilty or is presumed innocence. And if there are indications of guilt, then a lawyer must provide the best legal options for the client. So I'm not concerned about that. I'm more concerned about her now, because there does not seem to be any concerted legal effort at giving her solid advice. I had said that she is in a peculiar point in history where she can play a pivotal role, either as the worst villain or the best hero this country can have. Already we should credit her for making viral, as you in social media would say, for making viral the PDAF issue.
Yes. Something no one cared about, really, and then she became a flashpoint. Did this surprise you?
I think it comes under the heading, "The Emperor Has No Clothes." Those of you who grew up on Aesop's fables and fairy tales know what that means. No? everybody knew what it was, but nobody had the courage to come out with it. And I think there is some destiny there somewhere. Not to enlarge my role here, but I think that if I did not accept her initially, that would have, as they would say, namatay na yan sa kangkunangan ng kasaysayan. But I think the fact that I vigorously defended her, at the same time condemned the PDAF, because I have a long time advocacy against the PDAF, that people started listening and saying, why did Kapunan accept this case? Is there more to it? Especially the people that I know and the people who believe in me. My usual enemies, and that's the long list, of course, had a heyday saying that it's all about money. But well, I'm telling you and I'm telling the public, it has nothing to do.
Well, you also
money.
have, like you said, you've been doing this for 35 years. I mean, you worked very closely with Raul Rocco, and strangely enough, a former partner of yours is on the other side, and so you've had to deal with this also.
Yeah, and people don't know that the reason why PGMA, former president, is in detention now is a case that we filed on behalf of a group called Kilusang Makabansang Ekonomiya, composed of the bishops, the militant bishops of CBCP, the farmers, businessmen headed by Mr. Regalario, and of course Danny Lim and Risa Inquiveros.
Yes.
This is in connection with the so-called intelligence fund of the sweepstakes. That's what got GMA and the whole sweepstakes board
So,
in detention.
well, again, the perception, and you said that your critics say that you took it because of the money, but before that, you had a reputation as a do-gooder, somebody who was pushing change in society. You were Raul Rocco's second hand.
Yes,
You know, and then
We
you
did so many
became-
things. Well, that's why he was called, started with advocacy for women. That's why Raul was, Senator Rocco was known as the honorary woman. And very few people out there know that the privileges they enjoy now
Yes.
are because of legislation of the kind senator.
But Lorna, after that period, then you took celebrity cases.
Then
and
I
you-
went full circle on women's rights and went into representing male clients. And I think in this country, we women realize that we are more empowered than our men. And however, because of psychological battery, we let the men believe that they still control us when we're laughing all the way to the bank, I guess. So, in any event, women's rights already, affirmative action for women, I think, we have gone full circle on that.
So you're saying Hayden Co. is a women's rights issue?
No,
Or no?
no, I'm saying that Hayden Co. is a human rights issue. Because there, I think there was abuse of Republic Act 9262, no, which really is the domestic violence law, which really is not intended as legislation for women to blackmail men. And from my experience, sometimes that law is used as a blanket law handle for pressuring the husbands to give in more properties in a separation case, or for the husband to, because the protection there is only for the wife and the child, when the reality is husbands, boyfriends, men can be victims of domestic violence, defined by law not only as physical but psychological, emotional,
Yes.
Economic even.
But rightly or wrongly, now the perception of Lorna Kapunan is celebrity lawyer, woman who goes up against the odds. Is that correct?
Well, people are saying, bakit lahat ng mga kliyente mo mahihirap, or bakit mo inaccept ang kasong yan, ano? And I keep saying, alam mo, sa kliyente, wala namang malaking kaso o maliit na kaso. Laging malaki. Whether it's an ejectment case, whether it's a celebrity case, whether it's a post-dated check case. These are all big cases for the client. And in my law firm, my lawyers know that there are no big or small cases. They are all big. In fact, very few people know about all our pro bono cases. For instance, I would like to lay claim to the first writ of kalikasan ever issued by the Supreme Court. Sadly, it's running 3 years, and this involves, if I can say the name, it involves the Lopez Group, Shell, and Chevron. And this is
I think I
an
remember.
oil pipe
Yeah.
that runs for 117 kilometers from Batangas to Pandacan. And people have forgotten about it. People have forgotten that residents of West Tower lost their whole savings in West Tower, and that people in Barangay Bangkal, I call Barangay Bangkay now, are dying. Slowly, 3 have died already. Why people not talking about it? Because the media, they kill the news in media, because Shell and Chevron are involved. If this happened in other countries, Shell would immediately, and Chevron would immediately be put to task for an oil leak like this. This is a corroded pipeline that should have been changed 20 years ago. It is now overaged, and so it's leaking in municipalities from Batangas to Pandacan.
So the woman with the cause still is there.
That's me. And of course, you've heard about my letter to the editors to save the elephant in Manila Zoo. I think he needs to die in elephant heaven somewhere in Bangkok.
But well, let me bring you back again to Napoles,
yes.
right? In this one, you talked about the code of ethics of lawyers. When you personally know something or you feel something, where do you draw the line between what's right and then what you do as a lawyer to represent? Because again, a code of ethics for lawyers you want to give everyone a defense, right?
Yes.
But where do you personally draw the line? Again, you coming from having been the champion.
Well, first you cannot. Where do I draw the line? The truth. My number one rule is a client must always tell the truth, because how can you defend a client if the client doesn't tell the truth to you? For instance, what may be obvious to others may even have a legal defense. Murder, for instance. Husband shoots the wife. Murder, clearly.
Yes.
But people don't know that if the husband, for instance, upon investigation, it is found out that he killed the wife because the wife was on top of another man and they were having sex in the conjugal bedroom, then that is not murder.
Right.
That is killing in self-defense. That is killing in flagrante delicto in defense of the owner of
You
the
saw
family.
those same conditions in Napoles' case.
Yes, I saw that because, first of all, it is the nature of the beast. You're
Right.
talking about PDAF. What
Yes.
is PDAF? I mean, a PDAF is a public fund.
Yes.
And it is a public fund not only because of the nature, it comes from the people,
Right.
but because of the people who are accountable.
Yes.
These are public people, public officers, whether elected or appointed, whether in the executive or in Congress, who must be accountable for public fund. How did I see Napoles? I saw her as a Chinaman financier, 5'6". In this country, nothing moves. Nothing moves without somebody advancing. And that's how I saw her, and I think that's how she saw herself.
So what is it about her that became so, why did she become such a flashpoint? I'll give you an example. Grace Pulido Tan, actually the head of COA, talked about this as institutionalized corruption. Those are strong words.
Yes.
Coming from the COA administrator. Do you agree with that? And why do you think, finally, Filipinos didn't really care about corruption? Not to this degree, not in this one. Why did she become the flashpoint?
Because it is the call of the times. I mean, I don't know if we are to believe surveys when they say that lesser families are hungry, when they say that the poverty level has improved, when they say that wealth is being redistributed.
Yes.
I think that comes under the heading BS. And people are beginning to feel that. People are beginning to feel that. And then they see the wangwangs, and then they see the 1% who spend shamelessly our money, and they're saying, bakit? Bakit tayo naghihirap dito? Bakit tayong hinahabol ng BIR na yan? Bakit sila? Bakit yung mga Taipans na yan, hindi sila hinahabol? And then it came down to pera natin yan. And in the middle of this pera natin yan, and the calamities going on, and the rising cost of education, power, and all that, came a Napoles. And she became the logical, people need a face for their enemy. It is easier to fight an enemy with a face. And sadly, she became that face, and so did I.
For Napoles, we'll go to you after, but for Napoles, was that justified? Do you think that was right, that she became the face of it?
No. For Napoles, I still feel that she is key. And I keep saying publicly that it would be well for the state to consider her as a real whistleblower.
So you believe Senator Miriam, you agree with Miriam Santiago when she said she should turn state witness?
I may not agree with her language, but I agree with her 200%. Senator Miriam is one of the very few senators who do know their solid law. And perpetuation of testimony is the only way to go about this. If she is thinking that she will not live to see the day to testify, perpetuation of testimony where you write down, she doesn't even have to explain the whole scheme. She's just a high school graduate. She cannot be the mastermind. She did not invent PDAF. PDAF existed long before
Since
she
1922. It existed since 1922.
Since 1922, yeah. I didn't even know that year, but I keep saying it existed before. The Golden Erinolas,
Yes.
all of those things.
CDF, the
Yes, the
Countrywide
CDF.
Development
Just
Fund.
it's called. And you know, Maria, the other thing I'm worried about is the public should also be concerned, because I'm hearing talk now that congressmen and the senators who are on their last term
Yes.
are not worried about PDAF. Now they're thinking about putting together a local slate, where now the corruption will be in local government units. Nobody's talking about the SOP. Yeah. It used to be doing business with local governments, 35% yung kickback, 75, 35, 65% pumupunta sa projects. It's the reverse now. You have 35% or even less going to actual projects, if at all, if they're not ghost projects.
Is this documented?
Oh, well, if you
This
have
is just the talk, a whistleblower.
you need a whistleblower to bring out the Napoloses
The
then. The reality out there.
So you talked about this a little bit.
I'm talking about if we are to reform.
Yeah.
Let's not stop talking PDAF or DAP. Let's go to local government units. And segueing into, let's also look at the judiciary, which is my favorite topic.
It's your most recent topic right now.
Correct.
The judiciary, you have a contempt charge by the Supreme Court.
No,
Have
it's
you
not actually a
responded?
contempt. It's not actually a contempt charge. It's well, first, two awakenings. Number one, the Supreme Court watches TV, and number two, the Supreme Court can all agree. And I was very surprised this was an en banc notice. The notice was not please explain why you shouldn't be charged for contempt. The notice was please explain your answers in this morning show of
So it's not a charge?
no, it's not a charge.
Okay.
In fact, I was very happily surprised that to me that was an indication of a political will of
clean up.
Supreme Court to clean up.
Yeah.
Coming right after a very well applauded speech of the Chief Justice before the Philippine Bar Association sometime in September, challenging all lawyers and saying, stop talking in hushed whispers. Stop making nameless charges. I mean, put your money where your mouth is, to quote her, and name names. How do you expect us to clean our ranks if you don't name names?
Correct.
Ang sagot niya ng mga lawyers, kagaya namin sandali, teka, name names, di, paano na yung kaso ko? Paano na ako if that's my bread and butter?
Yeah.
Paano na yung law firm ko? Paano na yung kliyente ko? Di talo kaming lahat. We might as well close shop. The answer to that is, and the Supreme Court Chief Justice herself suggested it, is what she refers to as administrative amnesties.
Yep.
In other words, if for instance, and I had suggested, or will be suggesting, that because there is always courage in numbers. So, and I have discussed this with the Integrated Bar, the Philippine Bar, the University of the Philippines Women Lawyers Circle, and even the IBP legal aid
Yes.
heads. And I think they are now saying, oo, panahon na. And let's do this together. If we can collectively come together, so that not any one of us is put to task. If we
So that there's no backlash on one person, because one person's afraid to say, is that
yeah,
correct?
because it can be an association.
Yeah.
It can be the legal profession versus, no? I mean, but we don't have legal personality per se.
Yeah.
The Integrated Bar has legal personality because it is a mandated organization under the Constitution. If we could file as a legal Integrated Bar of the Philippines versus all of these so-called hoodlums in purple robes, that is a good start. And if it is so that the Supreme Court is serious
Yes.
about cleaning the judiciary, even if quote unquote it is close to them, let the axe fall, sabi ni Chief Justice, then I think this is a very good start.
We've talked about this privately, but now, how corrupt is the judiciary? What are the first things you'd like to see happen?
I think the legal practitioners will be able to name names. That's number one. Number two, there really must be a cleanup, because this is not only a question of giving justice to every citizen. This is a question of helping the economy, really. Because the cost of doing business in this country is tremendous. Mm-hmm. Why? Because
The leak to corruption?
Because businessman ka, matalo ka, anong gagawin mo? Pupunta ka sa korte. Okay. Antitrust laws. We don't have an antitrust litigation here.
Yeah.
We don't have an antitrust legislation here. But obviously, we look at business and we know that certain people, that 1% elite, now controls media. And not only controls media, controls our public utilities, light, water. They're now concentrated on a few. Now, that few have the resources, or can have the resources, and do retain law firms to fight their cases in court. What does that do? It kills business. It kills the local businessman. So, it's tuhog-tuhog yan, Maria. No? So, it is not only, people should see it not as a crusade. Sabihin nila, wala akong pakialam dyan. Bahala kayo, mag-away kayo dyan. That's not the attitude, because they see it as wala naman akong kaso dyan sa Supreme Court or sa...
But what you're saying is, does that mean you have to pay off someone in order to win a case?
Well, that seems to be the norm these days. Well,
How
I
prevalent?
cannot, very frankly, Maria, because of our duty to candor, I am saying that I do not know personally. I think because by reputation, people will not come to me to fix a case. They will come to me to say, please fight for me. That is the reality. And then they will go to another law firm to say, ayusin nyo nga yung kasong to kasi hindi naman ginagawa ng
So
Kapunan.
you refuse to pay?
Yes. Yes.
But I guess in the same way that journalists know, we have an idea who accepts and who doesn't.
Yun na nga, that comes under the heading, mahirap gisingin ang gising. Di ba? So, I think now the Supreme Court needs a handle to be able to clean up the ranks of the judiciary. It happened, it started during the time of Chief Justice Puno.
Yes.
The media picked it up. Unfortunately, it was probably not the time, and although there were certain exposés in media, there was lack of public support, and there was they closed ranks. You know, like the legal profession, we are a fraternity.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been to court, you could see us shout at each other, and then after a court hearing, make beso-besos. We are a legal fraternity, and it is perceived that so is a judiciary.
You talked. Let me go back to you now. I mean, the judiciary is a huge we've seen reforms, starting with the ousting of former Chief Justice Renato Corona, and we're seeing it shift. It's slow. This case in particular, what is the impact on politics in the Philippines?
I think if we are to do it in the judiciary as well, and if we see that our leaders there, meaning the Supreme Court, will take the lead based on the cooperation of members of the bar associations and the legal profession, who are now willing to clean it up and really give everyone his or her day in court, no?
When you said name names, you mean you're talking to people now who
No, I'm
lawyers
saying
who
that
will come together?
I have talked to the heads of the integrated bar and the voluntary organizations, and now they are saying that perhaps the first step is to remove the fear
Yes.
from individual practitioners. And if this is done in, for instance, initially closed-door sessions with the Supreme Court, where there are no there are no, well, parang BIR, di ba? Merong pwede kang mag-informer.
Yes.
May reward ka pa nga kung informer ka, no? Then maybe that is a good start. Whistleblower law already under discussion.
Yes.
The Supreme Court also is a good start, because what we also hesitate because there will be a real impact on our clients who may not be happy losing the case precisely not because of the merits, but because the lawyers have displeased, because a lawyer has displeased the judge handling the case.
Would you say this is a time of creative destruction? You know, that in many ways, what the Napoles case, what the PDAF case has done is it's lifted Pandora's box, and where it may actually be more difficult in the short term, but hopefully it'll lead to long-term reinvention. Is that the case, or do you see something else happening?
The way I see it, it is comes under the heading, it is better to light just one little candle than to stumble in the dark. And I believe in that. I mean, Napoles was one little candle. What did it do? It created sparks. You saw 1 million in Luneta. Sadly, it's because the change should be from within. If you do not have change from within, then it would just be a picnic, as was Luneta. You saw that happen again in Makati, where the crowd dwindled to 250,000, and then 5,000, and then we saw towards nighttime that these were the usual crowd who would accept payment from politicians to go against the government. So, in fact, nag-shift, naging Napoles, naging number one pork si Presidente, no? So, sana wag naman ganun. Sana it is a call for people to look inwards. Have I contributed to the corruption in this country? Ako ba naglalagay sa pulis na yan? Ako ba nagbibigay ng bayad sa lawyer ko para bilhin ng restraining order? Things like that.
You think this really can be the spark that will do that? Because we've been talking about that
At
for
the very
20
least,
years.
it should be a deterrent.
Okay. In terms of the impact on politics, so you had the million people march triggered by a Facebook post. Within 7 days, you get people out there. Filipinos are far more aggravated on social media. You get the Supreme Court declaring PDAF unconstitutional. DAP is still there. Will this change politics? Do you think that there's enough? Have we hit the tipping point to actually address institutional corruption? Or is it
I will
not
call
enough?
this a storm surge. We're getting surges now. We're getting surges. Like for instance, PDAF was a surge. Tapos after PDAF nag-shift because yung mga kaliwa hindi na kausa, so nag-shift sa DAP. Pagkatapos ng DAP, nag-shift na naman, no? So now we're looking at the judiciary. Hopefully there will be a storm surge. Pabugsok-bugsok na yan, pero dapat may impact. And I think what people are saying about this country is that really, you cannot kill. The typhoon may have devastated lives and properties, but it cannot kill the Filipino spirit. And that is what I think the whole experience with PDAF and with the Senate inquiries, horrendously seeing our senators make fools of themselves, I think should be a wake-up call to all of us that kasalanan ko rin yan eh, binoto ko yan eh. Kasalanan ko rin yan eh, nag-bribe ako eh, kasalanan ko rin. All I'm saying is, and I think the tying it up to the recent typhoon,
Yeah.
Time is short eh. You don't know when, in fact, I just came from a Christmas party with the Women's Business Council, and one of our leaders there showed a YouTube of an Indian who predicted that we're all going to die. And the next province now is Pangasinan, where there will be a Malays that will start eating our skin and penetrating our bones. You know, so ang daming sumasakay. May born again, may Catholic Church, but what is that saying? That is saying that life is short. And therefore, since life is short, we have a choice of doing good or doing evil. I think the line of least resistance should point to doing good.
So the last question I want to ask you is about you. In many cases, you were vilified for accepting the Napoles case. What lessons learned for you and lessons learned that you can see for the Philippines?
You know, I think I would be insensitive to say that I didn't care about social media. But I also would be not truthful if I said that I regret accepting the case. First, to me, on a personal level, to me it showed that what really matters is strength you derive from a clear conscience. Even if I was being hit left, right, and center, my conscience was clear, and my intentions were pure. I really had hope that this would be the start of a cleanup of all of the crooks who should go to jail. The way it's shaping up, though, is because media has reinforced this story that is being perpetrated, that Napoles is the mastermind. It will be a sad day in this country if she is the only one that will go to jail.
Do you agree with Senator Miriam that it goes that it's Enrile? I mean, is this from what?
No, I'm not sure it is Enrile, but I certainly am sure that it is not Napoles alone. That it goes, that it is a whole scheme where even the minions in government perpetrate it. Hindi naman gagalaw yan pag walang clerk sa DBM o sa COA or sa na gumagalaw, because the check will not walk by itself. It has to be brought by somebody to another desk who gets some senator to sign or who gets some project
And
initialed, and it's a whole ecosystem, and maybe a storm surge or tsunami, which we now understand is what we need. Hindi lang yung weather lang, no? Because people say, ay nako, weather lang yan. Pagdating ng presidente, kung manalo si ganyan, forgive naman niya lahat yan, ipapardon niya lahat yan. This is not a weather lang. This should be a tsunami.
How long? Your fearless forecast, how long will this take?
I think it will take fearless. If it doesn't happen now, it will take 3 more generations, 3 more presidents. Because they say that for genuine reform, you need at least 3. You know why 3? Because that's where you get rid of the old people and you get the young. But you know, PDAF, removing the PDAF, is a way of encouraging.
It's a huge step forward.
It's a very huge step because those who want to serve now would want to run because for them, public office is service. Yung mga gustong tumakbo kasi may PDAF na yan o kasi yun ang family business nila, no? Even these dynasties, I mean, we should start talking about dynasty law. Because tanggalin mo nga ang PDAF kung nandyan pa yung dynasties, edi wala ring makakapasok sa political arena na yan, no? Na walang pangalan, one who is not pedigreed, or one who did not inherit the business from the father or the uncle or the mother.
The latest estimates are almost 70% of Congress came from feudal political families.
Yeah, and my fearless forecast is they will now shift from Congress to the local governments.
So that's something we should look out for. Okay,
Correct.
well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks for joining us. Wait, before, just to be transparent also, Lorna Kapunan was also the lawyer for Janet Napoles when they filed a case against Rappler reporter Natasha Gutierrez. Lorna has dropped out of that case as well. We have spent an interesting time going through the Napoles case, PDAF, the judiciary, the political system. We've been speaking with Lorna Kapunan. I'm Maria Ressa. Thanks for watching Talk Thursday. Keep the conversation going. Tweet at Rappler.com or leave conversations on Facebook. Lorna, are you on Twitter?
Of course.
Your Twitter handle is at Lorna Kapunan.
Yes.
At Lorna Kapunan. She'll answer questions. Thanks for joining us.